That has to do with the spices of the gin itself. Those are the first two products. Then a year later, we actually came out with a couple others about the same time. We did a vanilla vodka. This is our one flavored vodka we have. We actually use real beans. As you see, it's got a color to it. It's actually not perfectly clear. This is one of the things that we wanted to do when we tasted regular vanilla vodkas, which are all clear because they're just using a flavoring. It tasted artificial to us. So we actually talked to, we ended up meeting Matt Nielsen of Nielsen and Massey, who they have, if you guys know them, they're a vanilla company that's actually in Waukegan. They make some gourmet extracts and that kind of thing. Talked to them, we actually got real beans, and we found a certain variety of bean that's from Tahiti. It's a Tahitian vanilla bean. It's just a wonderful character, a nice floral. It's actually tastes a little different from the typical beans that you get if you find them at a grocery store. These are actually infused in here, so it's not a flavoring, it's actual bean. And that's why there's a color. The bean actually releases it. Beautiful, and better than any vanilla, but I'm biased. Anyway.
Well, every time I take it into a bar or anywhere where they can pour it next to it, I always win. Every single time.
And again, this is kind of part of what being a micro distillery is coming up with unique ways of doing spirits. This other product, I don't know how many of you know, it's a Scandinavian spirit called akavit. Akavites are where gin has the definition of juniper berries, akavit has caraway seed as a base flavor. Then all kinds of other spices. This has cumin in it, cardamom, coriander, cinnamon. We use cinnamon in a couple of our products in our gin. Cinnamon, we use a real cinnamon that comes out of Sri Lanka. It's a soft wooded bark. It's not like the sticks that you get at the store. Those are called actually cassia bark, not true cinnamon. So we use these different products, and this is actually aged a little. Akavits are not necessarily all aged. Ours is actually aged a little bit in oak. This is very traditional in all the Scandinavian countries. Flavors change depending on the regions. They do all kinds of stuff. They'll put elderflower in it. They'll put fruit flavors and all kinds of other things. This is our setup. We're the only domestic producer of it. And it's a really fun product. We never wanted to be considered just a vodka gin producer because that's not really what we are. We want to have a whole gamut of wonderful products. As we progressed on, our latest product is actually a very fun product. This is called an absinthe. Now, I don't know how many of you know about absinthe. Very quickly, though, absinthe was very popular in the 1800s, 1900s, and became banned. It was banned in the United States at 1912. Well, there's an herb that is used in it that has a chemical that is always considered to be an hallucinogen. And back then, absinthe was becoming incredibly popular. Wines were suffering because of it, and the temperance movement was getting stronger, and those parties kind of got together and said, well, this is causing all kinds of problems. People are chopping their ears off. As you know, there's artists that are notorious for drinking absinthe. So it got banned for the quantities that it was in it. It is still officially banned. They did not change their rules except for the end of last year. They clarified how they test for the chemical that's in there. And if you're below a particular threshold, you don't really have it. They found that, in truth, the post-ban or the pre-banned absinthe would have passed also. But the testing procedures at the time indicated that these had higher concentrations of these drugs.
Than what they really have.
Yeah. But the fact of the matter is the chemical that's in here isn't really much of an hallucinogen, and you would need so much of it, you'd be dead from the alcohol before you even hallucinate. So it's
they're very high in alcohol, so it was really an alcoholism problem mostly.
Right. But for those who might not know a lot about it, there's typically different variations of it. It starts off at a high proof. Ours is 120, which is 60% alcohol. Fairly high in alcohol. You usually drink it with a little bit of water. It clouds up when water hits it. It's called a louche. That's part of the effect. It's part of there is a green fairy that people said they saw when they drank it. And that's what comes out of it. That's right. And ours gives you a wonderful effect of that. It's an anisette. Flavor-wise, it's an anisette, which means it's got like a little black licorice type of flavor behind it. But it's not too overwhelming. The wormwood, which is the herb that had the chemical everyone was worried about, it gives a bitterness. There's a touch of bitterness to it, and then a lot of other complexities that go into it. But anyway, I mean, this is kind of the gamut of things that we started on working on. We also, in the near future, we're going to brown spirits also, hoping to do both brandy and whiskey in the future. Of course, those things take a little longer because they are aged longer. You know, this starts off as a very clean spirit, so you don't age it very long. So this is aged very little compared to the way the brandies.